Welcome to the IR control exercise review. In this tutorial, I'll walk you through the worked solution for the IR control exercise in the previous tutorial, which you have now completed. From the control schematic and from earlier exercises, a DVD was connected to IR port 1 and a set-top box was connected to IR port 2. The Apple TV is a MA711LL/A. which is connected to the third IR port on the Netlink controller. Therefore, the device identifier is 5001.13.0. The touch panel is an X-series panel with a base device address of 10.0.0.1.0. In earlier exercises, a DVD UI control page was assigned port 2 on the touch panel, and a set-top box was assigned port 3. Therefore, I'll reserve port 4 for the Apple TV's control UI and set the device identifier as 10.0.0.1.4.0. Using the remote as a reference, the buttons of which we will be replicating on the Apple TV's UI control pop-up page. Before I dive into TP Design and Netlink Studio, I want to download the Apple TV's IR file and import it into the workspace so that I can reference the IR channels and later upload to the controller. So let's start by exploring AMX.com's Tech Center and search for the IR file under Search Third-Party Devices. Key in Apple in the manufacturer field. Make sure the IR control checkbox and also the Search AMX and Manufacturer modules, drivers, and IR files checkboxes are both selected. And click on the search button. The search returns a few Apple devices. As mentioned, the model we are after is the MA711LLA. Click on that model's link. Click on the diskette icon to download the IR file. I'll save the file into the IR directory I've created for my project. Let's now briefly go into Netlink Studio and import this IR file into the workspace. Right-click on the IR folder and select Add Existing IR File. Select the Apple TV IR file and click Open. I'll rename my identifier Apple TV and select OK. The IR file is now imported into the workspace. Let's take a look at exactly what the IR functions are available in this file. Single-click the file and select the IR tab at the bottom of our workspace bar. Notice there are 7 functions that have been recorded: play or pause, menu, up, down, left, right, and select. Make note of the channels in which they are assigned. Let's go back to the Workspace tab. We'll hold off on mapping this file until we finish writing our code. For now, let's work on the touch panel buttons that we need to create. Double-click the touch panel file under the User Interface folder to launch TP Design 5. There are already a couple of items we can use to build our Apple TV pop-up page. Single-click on the DVD pop-up page and type Ctrl+C to copy it. Single-click on the pop-up pages folder and hit Ctrl+V to paste a copy of it. Rename the pop-up Apple TV. Now, double-click the page to open it so that we can edit it. Since this is a copy of the DVD page, the first thing I'll do is to delete all the buttons there are on this page. Now I'm ready to add the Apple TV buttons. Having referenced the IR control file and the remote control, I've decided to use all the buttons that are available on the Apple TV remote. So to do that, I'll need 7 buttons. I'll now create the buttons. I'll need a navigation pad with up, down, left, right, and select. I'll also need a play/pause button and a menu button. Next, to make life easier, I'm going to use the Power Assign feature in TP Design 5. From the menu bar, select Button, Power Assign, or press F8. Power Assign works beautifully for consecutive button assignments. So now I'll go ahead and assign the channel codes to each of the consecutive groups. The IR channel assignments for the navigation pad in the IR file from channel 45 to 49 are consecutive, so I'll start with those. Select the buttons you want to affect, in the same sequence that you want them to be numbered. Select the first button, the up button, hold Shift, and then click the rest of the navigation pad buttons sequentially. The snappy order is up, down, left, right, select, 45 through 49. Make sure the function code action is set to assign and the function code type is set to channel. Begin the function code assignment for port 4 on function code 45 and hit the assign button. I'll manually assign the remaining two buttons. The play/pause button will be set to channel port 4 and channel code 1. And the menu button will be assigned to channel port 4, channel code 44. Are you asking yourself, where did we come up with those channel numbers? Those are the channel numbers where the IR codes were recorded in the IR file. Before finishing off, make sure the button feedback property on the Programming tab for all the IR control buttons is set to channel. We'll need the property later when programming the feedback in Netlink Studio. With the pop-up page complete, go back and create the Source Select button and add in the appropriate page flips. With the pop-up page complete, save the file, close TPD5, and return to Netlink Studio to start the source code demonstration. To begin with, let's make sure we are working on the correct source code file. Close any and all source code files you might have open. Now, make sure you open up the P1 Exercises J. Smith source code. I'm going to begin with defining my devices. First up, I'll define my touch panel device. I'll name it DVTP_Apple TV, and because we assigned all buttons to port 4 in the touch panel, the DPS will be 10.0.0.1.4.0. Next, I'll define the Apple TV device itself. This particular device is going to be controlled through IR. The IR emitter is going to be plugged into port number 3. Therefore, we'll define this device as DV Apple TV equals 5001.13.0. I'm now going to create an include or AXI file for the Apple TV control code. With the working project open in the workspace, right-click on the include folder and add new include file. Let's name the file Apple TV Control. Browse to and save it in the corresponding folder within the project folder. So let's now write our code inside the include file. I need the define event header. First, we'll build our data event to set up the IR port properly in the controller. Data_event, square bracket, DV Apple TV, close square bracket. So then I'm going to use my opening brace for my compound statements. And at the same time, before even writing any code, I'm also going to add the closing brace to make sure I don't forget it later. Next, I need the online method. And again, I'll open and close the braces associated with the compound statements. Send_command, space, DV Apple TV, comma, single inverted commas, set mode IR, close inverted commas, and semicolon. Then send_command, space, DV Apple TV, comma, single inverted commas, char on, close single inverted commas, and end with the semicolon. Next, we'll build the button event using channel 0 as the catch-all. Button event devtp_Apple TV, 0. As usual, I'll open and close my braces for the compound statements, and then push with the braces enclosing the compound statements for when the button is pressed. 2, open square bracket, DV Apple TV, button.input.channel, close square bracket, and semicolon. And finally, let's not forget to add the feedback for our touch panel. Remember, the exercise asked for single-line feedback to be put into the main code file. I'm finished with my include file, so I'll save it and close it. I'll scroll down to the Define Program section and add in my feedback statements. We've done this several times now, so no need for me to explain it. Apple TV feedback, open square bracket, dv_tp underscore Apple TV, play, square bracket, gets, square bracket, dv Apple TV, play, close square bracket, and semicolon. Similarly, we'll need a few more feedback statements, so I'll copy, paste, and then edit them here. There are still a couple more things we need to do. Here's the tricky part. We still need to write the include statement in our main code. I'll scroll down to the location where we need to write our include statements, and I'll type #include Apple TV control.axi. While we are on the subject of include files, this code file is missing one. We can't forget to include the snappy.axi file. I'll scroll up to the top of the code, above Define Device, and I'll add the include statement for the snappy file. We can now compile our main source code file, which will also compile our include file. Of course, we don't have any errors or warnings. Therefore, the last step is to map the IR file in our workspace to the proper device on our controller. We are now ready to upload and test our Apple TV code, if and when connected to an actual system. Congratulations on completing this exercise. Now that we are done, save and close the exercise code file and any other source code files that might be open. You're now ready to move on to the next lesson, modules.